You just let them all in. Admit it all. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it's JDew and Denzel with Cash Cultures Collide, a four-part series in the month of July to walk and talk through the minority money mindset. And today, specifically, week 3 of 4 is rediscovering purpose. We want a lot of feedback today in a way that you didn't get last week because it was definitely the technical last week, but now it's going to be the collaborative between everybody. Denzel, how are you doing this week, man? Great to have you back.
Thank you for having me. Yes, I'm having a blast so far. Just really enjoying hanging out with your audience, my audience, all of us together. I've seen a tremendous amount of, activity in the comments on people who are, tuning in via Zoom, really engaged. They're learning a lot. So far, we went through rebuilding reputation. That was week 1. Week 2 was a combination of our money mindset, infinite banking concept, really how that creates a foundation for everything else that we do, whether it's investing, saving, you name it. And today I'm excited to get into just how do we rediscover our purpose. And we use the word rediscover is because it's something it's already there inside of us. It was planted in us by our creator. And so now we just have to remember what it was that God called us to be on this planet. Right? Rather than trying to search for a new thing, it's 100% of the time of all the people I've interacted with over the last 6+ years and been coaching and serving, it's something that's already inside of you. And whether it was traumatic events, the money stories that we tell ourselves, the money lies we tell ourselves, the poor cultural traditions that we perpetuate onto our heirs, all of the above holds us from experiencing our maximum potential in our current lives here today, living on planet Earth. So that's what I'm super excited about. That's really why I do what I do on YouTube and talk about all the strategies and talk about finance. At the end of the day, I know so many people are looking at money, and that gives me the opportunity to open up the conversation of their mindset, their purpose. Why do they want to make all this money? Who do we want to do this for? And all that good stuff. Getting into you could say the woo-woo, right? Just the touchy-feely stuff. It's important. I mean, I'm coming from a logical guy. Like if you watch my videos, it's all logic for the most part. But even I myself recognize, got to have a little touchy-feely emotions there because at the end of the day, we are social beings. We have a heart, and we have the ability to love and care for people, for things, for material, for animals, you name it, for our faith. And when we can properly execute that into the marketplace, we can live abundantly, we can live generously, right? And serve people at the highest capacity, right? So I'm excited, man.
Let's go. Let's get into it. So welcome, everybody. Welcome back. Let me know if this is week 1, 2, or 3 for you, and put that in the chat. Welcome to our social audience, not just our Zoom experience right here, because we love that. We love that you're pre-registered. But if you're on YouTube, the Cash Compound page, go ahead and check in with us up here. So I'm looking all around on my multiple screens, got my producing team helping me out in so many ways. Week 1, week 2, or week 3. Okay, love it. If you've been here all 3 with us, thank you so much. Put in the chat where you are zooming in from this afternoon. It is 3:35 on the East Coast. Denzel's in Florida. I'm in my studio in South Carolina. Where are you? Madison, Wisconsin in the building. We got Tulsa. Yeah, we're going to have to talk about Tulsa here. We're going to have to talk about that Black wealth empire that was down there, right? That might get brought up today. I love it. Utah, where in Utah, Steve? Vancouver, Washington with Liz. I'm glad she's back with us. Denton, Maryland. I don't know that area. I have a brother in Maryland, but I don't know Maryland well at all. And Louisiana. Is it Louisiana or is it Louisiana? Well, how do you say it, Denzel?
I think it's Louisiana.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah, I know there's
Love
an
it.
accent down
Near
there.
Fort Meade. Gotcha. So near the East Coast. I assume that the forts are probably near the water somewhere, Quentin. West Valley City, Steve says. West Valley City, Utah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to recap a few things that actually we talked about technically last week. And I was going to lead today, and then we're going to get the lecture series from Denzel. He's so good at helping us uncover and discover, and of course, like he gave us an introduction for, remember and rediscover some of those purposes that were put inside of our hearts and the why God put us on this planet. So looking forward to this conversation, and we want to get a lot more feedback from you. There was a lot of yeses and a lot of no's and a lot of me's. That's what I asked for in the chat last week because I was walking and talking you through quite a bit of technical information. Let me remind you that we'll throw in the chat if we can. Will, if you can do that, our calendar. If you'd like more information on us walking and talking through code cracking cash flow, helping you build your own personal privatized empire in the infinite banking space, we'll throw that in the chat for you. And that's going to be saveandspendsystem.com. That's where you're going to find more information on one-on-one coaching from our side. If you want one-on-one coaching from our side, what you're going to do is click. Okay, great. Got it. Well, I better go through the information because that'll go straight to the calendar. I was going to send you to the video. Okay. So don't worry. I'll show you guys some things here in a second. But if you're not currently practicing underneath the mentorship of infinite banking coaching, that's on our side, or personal finance coaching, that's on Denzel's side, we highly encourage you to have the intro conversation. Denzel, before I get into it, because I want to rediscover some of the technical foundational tools that we use, remind people, give them a pitch, give them a commercial about how you help people on a one-on-one and family basis in personal finance coaching, and then I'll talk a little bit more about infinite banking again.
Yes, absolutely. So for those of you that are like, hey, this is the first time I'm coming across infinite banking concept or velocity banking, if you're on my channel, you're in a lot of debt, you're not the best with your stewardship over your personal and or business finances, you feel stuck, you feel frustrated, you feel like you have a lack of knowledge, I'm typically the person you would first interact with, someone that's not going to necessarily sell you any product just yet, right? I'm looking at the foundation. Where are you currently at? Let's discover all the current problems that we are currently aware of, and then we begin to discover the problems we are unaware of that cause the problems that are right in front of us, right? We're able to go to the root cause of those things. And in the form of courses, programs, trainings, workshops, content, and one-to-one or one-to-many, I am your personal financial coach, consultant, strategist. These are the titles. Some people call me a financial guru. At the end of the day, I'm your accountability partner, someone that you can tap into, someone that you can call, someone that you can bounce ideas, brainstorm, where I'm not going to say, yeah, go do that, or that sounds like a great idea. You're coming to me and I'm entering your world and I'm simply pointing a flashlight on the different errors, different problems, different inefficiencies that you have without convincing you to do anything. It's about helping you create a financial decision-making process, what I call it. And that is going to eventually get to the point where you can make smart, educated financial decisions based on you, not what Denzel said, not what Jonah said, not what Jeremiah said, not what Grant Cardone said or Tony Robbins, although those people can be helpful in developing frameworks, no doubt about that. But being able to come to the table with Jeremiah and say, these are my goals, this is what I'm trying to accomplish, here's where I'm coming from, I believe you can help me implement this strategy, implement this tool, implement this product, implement this resource, implement this business strategy, help me scale, help me multiply, right? But before that happens, we have to have a base. So that's pretty much what I do. Help people build bases, build kingdoms. And then I, like a quarterback, I pass the ball to a Jeremiah, to other people in the YouTube world, people that I do business with, and say, yes, go here, go there, get them for this, do that. And all the while I'm supporting you along the way, right? As we move down the football field in this football analogy that I'm giving, as your quarterback, I'm with you the whole way through. You ran the ball, great. You got knocked down, but we got a first down, cool. I'm still with you. We're calling the plays together, right? And I'm not telling you what to do. I'm helping you make the decision for yourself based off all the facts, all the data that we can pull together. So that's what I do in a nutshell. Have a blast doing it. I'm on YouTube. You can find me. Just type in my name. I'll be there. And on top of that, there's people that I'm serving that have no cash flow whatsoever. They're like, Denzel, I'd love to work with you, but I can't afford you. And I'm like, that's no excuse, because I have a ministry that helps people for free. As long as you're willing to exchange some of your time, some of your social currency, such as liking, subscribing, commenting, telling people about me, then I'm willing to exchange my time for that. And that removes the whole I don't have enough money, I don't know enough. It removes all those excuses, right? To get on a call and let's make some progress.
I love it. Thank you for that ministry and that opportunity. If you end up getting on our calendar, my calendar over here on the Cash Compound side, you do want to have at least an introductory conversation about that financial step of infinite banking. And you say, I don't know if I'm ready, or I want to work with both of you. Let's do it. I'll point you back toward Denzel. We're going to get you that help there for an all-encompassing, universal approach to your financial life, your mentorship, your mindset, all those types of things. If you're already working with one of us, let us know in the chat. Are you already working with one of us? We have a couple of our team members who joined. Shout out to everybody who's with us again on our Facebook page. I'm sorry, our YouTube channel over here. Okay, we got one working with my brother already. Love it. Let us know if you're already working with us. You're already working with Denzel. I'd love to know. Okay, I'm checking the YouTube comment. Okay, nobody there yet. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to recap a few things as we enter into week 3. Our mission this week is to go into a space of rediscovering purpose. Once you clear your mind out from get it up on yours shortly, momentarily. I want to help you understand what we teach and preach around here. It's where to actually pay yourself first. I think we all know why. Because if we can learn to keep the money that we have, won't life be a whole lot different if we can just keep what we make? Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about the product that solves the problem for us. Many people don't.
In fees, in commissions, and in interest to third parties. Those third parties, taxes, you're not going to be able to get out of them completely. You're always going to have that silent partner, and we got to figure out how to legally, ethically, and morally pay Uncle Sam as little as possible. It's my opinion. But if you have a tax, a commission, a fee, and an interest problem that potentially towers over your income at 30 to 40%, you are not going to win earning 9 or 10%. And that's if you learn to save and earn 9 or 10%. You're not going to make it. How many of you are in the category where you realize something is broken about my personal economy because I feel like I'm a good person and work hard and I'm not winning? Put me in the chat. I am a good person. I went to school. I got decent grades. I followed the rules at work, and my personal economy is in trouble. Put me in the chat. So why don't we learn from the start, the get-go, how to pay ourselves first, keep the money that we make? Let's take a look again. Right here, this is the 3-cup setup, and it's going to solve the problem of all this crazy interest leaving our lives and leaving our families. We're going to teach you how a whole life insurance policy works. And if you get the foundation right and you have cash flow, well, we're going to be able to rediscover a lot of purpose. And we'll kick it over to Denzel to talk us through that a little bit. So do you have it on the screen for me? Let's put our 3-cup setup back on the screen here. Let me remind you how this product solves our problem. Then we're going to use it for the process of what's called banking or infinite banking. Okay? The product is a whole life insurance policy from a mutual company. It pays dividends, and I'm going to break it down for you in the 3-cup setup. Okay? Everybody put 3-cup setup
in the chat.
Stick with me now. Premium, dollars you give an insurance company. Premium, that's red cup number one in the 3-cup setup. Okay, dollars we pay to Jacob State Farmer, Flow It Progressive. Those dollars buy us something in life insurance stores and in life insurance as opposed to car insurance. Property and casualty insurance. It buys us death benefit. You guys with me? Because I said banking, I said wealth creation, and I said cash flow and eliminate taxes, you got excited. But when I say life insurance, everybody loses their mind. So what I have to do is remind you, this product is going to solve your problem. So don't be nervous about the fact that it's life insurance and there's death benefit. Don't be nervous. It's okay. All right? Because in whole life insurance, not term life insurance, not a universal product that can expire and that must cost more. The premium is fixed in whole life insurance. The red cup premium that we give every year, every month is fixed. It buys death benefit that must pay out. Okay, beneficiaries will get this money. Put in the chat for me right now. Who are you passing money along to? Family, friends, church, or charities. Do you have children? Is it a legacy play for you for your family? Is it your favorite charities? You're going to get 25% of your money because you have a wonderful opportunity to keep a legacy going for people who are doing good in the world. What about church? Lots of people want to give to church. Give them something. Give back in that faith community. And they participate in religious services. I do, for sure. Okay. Death benefit must pay out to these folks, and it's income tax free. It is insurance, not a product from Wall Street. Because I combined it with wealth, we're going to talk about banking. You in your mind may have combined this to a government-sponsored plan. This is not. Okay, it will pay out income tax free because there is a pool of death benefit that must pay out to your family, friends, church and charities. They have to pay. They know if you died tomorrow, they'd have to pay. Cash value is what you could use today. Blue cup three is the legacy for later. Cash value is the net for now. you can leverage how much money you've
bought.
Death benefit. With your money, premium. You can leverage it today. So your money in cup one never goes away. It's guaranteed to be there. It's not invested. Doesn't go backward or go down. Don't tell me you want to invest in life insurance. You can't do it. You can buy it though. And because you bought it, death benefit is guaranteed to pay out. Cash value is what you can use, lose, or abuse today. I wouldn't suggest you lose it or abuse it. All right, we're going to let Denzel talk in a second. Don't lose it or abuse it, but it is liquid for now. Okay. So we're going to be able to leverage these dollars for opportunities.
And if and when we do borrow against our policy's value, we're going to temporarily lower the death benefit they must pay. We've leveraged it. There is a lien now against how much they pay if we die with the money out of the green cup. But our money, once again, ladies and gentlemen, has never left cup one. Now we're able to go rediscover our purpose. We are free from the bondage of financial failure because our numbers are still locked in. Let's go be a bank. Let's go. On those dollars, shall we? When those dollars return, that would be called principal, would refill and reestablish our death benefit, and the interest, the gain, the charge that we gave to others goes in cup one. The interest we normally pay to Wells Fargo, Bank of America, TD, Chase Bank, Citi is now going to stick with us. And premium at a life insurance store buys death benefit, which gives us more cash value to use. Ladies and gentlemen, the foundational tool to keep
second, you can have control of your external life. So let's make sure your dollars are part of that system and don't go away. Okay, we got one question, and then I'm turning it over to Denzel for some comments on the foundational product as we use this now to go rediscover purpose. We've got money. Remember that? You got mail? Denzel ain't old enough for that. You got money. Okay. Steve says, how long is it before the cash value is actualized? Actualized if starting a policy. All right, Steve, using big words for me. It's got a couple dime words in there, 10-cent words. We're going to establish policies for people at the cash compound on purpose, custom build for cash value use immediately, okay? When I say immediately, I mean within the first month, there is dollars in that second cup cash value that we can leverage. If you decide you're going to be smarter than me and go call up someone else for a customized whole life insurance policy you can use for cash, and that person, that agent, has never talked to you about this before, prepare to be very, very stuck in something that you don't understand and they never told you they were savvy on. We're going to set these up custom, Steve. Okay? Sounds good. Denzel, I'd love your thoughts on this here as we now have a foundational tool where our money doesn't leave us. So we can potentially go rediscover our purpose. We have an option. We have an opportunity now. Tell us about it. Talk about it.
Yes, and you set me up so well as you were diving into those details of infinite banking and how it's the foundation, the culture of control. I really like it. Before I transition, I wanted to see if there's any other questions or any technical questions before we transition into our internal selves before we execute this strategy of becoming our own bank, infinite banking, recapturing interest savings, and all the technicality that comes with that. What I've discovered personally, which is just super cool, is when you know your purpose, these details about rate of return, how long does it take to get the cash value to be available? How much is this and how much is that, and how and when can I borrow? And although all those details are important, they're not nearly as valuable. I'm not going to say not nearly as important. They're not nearly as valuable as knowing who you are, your purpose, and that's going to help drive the conversation with the agent and with any other person you have on your, what I call your financial dream team. That's going to help you create the wealth, the cash flow, the freedom needed to exercise your purpose at its full potential, right? So I just wanted to see if there was any other additional questions. I don't see anything as of right now, or I don't see anything in the YouTube. So it looks like we're good. I saw someone saying that there was an echo in the YouTube, but I think it's good now. Just wanted to double check. I'm not hearing anything, but I think we're good. So what I'm going to share, I hope this might be too simple. I don't know, but for me, I was like, man, how can I just break this down? Because there's so much out there in the marketplace, and if it's like, can I just break it down where it's like, give me one thing. If you're someone right now listening, if I were to ask you, hey Steve, hey Elizabeth, hey Keith, hey Eduardo, hey Jose, hey Aaron, who else is here? Hey Gail, hey Quentin, what is your purpose? Simple question. Oftentimes when I ask that question to a new client, not that they get offended, but it's almost like they're trying to justify whatever the next answer that they say, and they mix it in with, well, you know this and you know that, and you know, I'm 48 years old, Denzel, you know, I'm 59 years old, you know, I'm 62, da da da. And they do one of these, Jay, right? They do one of these.
Yep.
Right? And I don't get an answer, and then I try to ask it again, and I'm like, so I'll do this. I said, so when was the last time you were asked about your big dream? Do you have one? Or have you had one? Or when was the last time you dreamt about your future, that you had a big dream, right? And Steve said pride, right? That's a big block, right? So I would love, before I get into how to rediscover your purpose, and this is super simple. It's not going to be a whole lot of time here, right? I want a lot of interaction for those of you on the YouTube and in the Zoom. Be as detailed as you want, right? But if you had to put it in a sentence, right? Maybe in a sentence or two, what is your purpose? I'd love for you to take 20, 30 seconds, write that. What's the very first thing that comes to mind when you think about that? What is your purpose? I would like someone to answer that, to volunteer themselves, right? Maybe we could even have someone come off Zoom and we can capture that, all right? If they'd like, you raise your hand if you'd like to participate, say it out loud, or write it in the comments. I'd like to see at least one, right? What is your purpose? It's such a question that feels like an attack, and it shouldn't. It should be, should be something. Go ahead.
Denzel, while everybody's taking that time, we do want to hear from you all. Let me elaborate on what I just wrote in there. 2 weeks ago or so, me and my 8-year-old and other kids, but the 8-year-old got asked the question of me, what's the most important thing for you to do in life? And we were sitting on downtown having one of them expensive frozen yogurt deals. And he entertained the question in a very fun way because he was happy he had finally gotten his gummy worms and his ice cream going down, right? But he's like, man, I don't know. And, I went back to, I didn't grow up in this tradition so much, but I was close enough to it that by the time I was like above adolescence, I knew what the word, the catechisms, okay, the catechisms from religious tradition. And I was trying to do my best to try to come up with what I had to go Google later in that what is your purpose question. And the believing contingency of old, I'm talking, I don't know, catechism, 500 years, like I really don't know. I don't know a lot about it. I'm just saying, I hit him with like one of these questions, existential questions. the chief end of man. Does anybody know? Anybody grew up in Sunday school or the catechism or whatever? And I looked it up later, and I wanted him to know the chief end of man in the first question of the catechism. Am I saying it right? Who knows? Is it a Catholic? My Catholic friends, is that how you? Is it from them? I don't know. It's to, and now watch me botch it. It's to enjoy God and love Him forever. And I was like, that's what and I sent him one of them fatherly moments, emails, right? We had a moment, wanted him to remember, sent him a little email, and I said, I want you to remember this one day. He don't check his email for another 20 years, hopefully. But when he does, he'll have that in there, to love God and enjoy Him forever. That's your purpose. That's what you should be doing. If you can do that while having this frozen yogurt what Dad paid $10 for, then you do that. But that was me. Okay. Back to you.
Love it. Love it. What else? Let me see someone who wants to be brave, right? It feels like such an attack, and it shouldn't. It's the weirdest thing. I'm like, what? It should be so fun and exciting to talk about your purpose, to communicate that to the world, right? And I think here's what people do, Jay, especially Christians and Catholics and people alike with faith, is because they don't know their purpose, they will hide behind the Word of God. Not that this is a bad thing. It's just interesting that I see this happen. They'll hide behind the words of our Lord and Savior, and they'll say things like, go out, make disciples, love God, right? All this stuff. And it's great. I think there is a general purpose that our Creator has given us, these mandates, that once we serve Him fully and we give our lives to Him, we surrender, we yield to the King, that there are a set of ways of living when you're in the body of Christ, when you're in the church. And there are these purpose-given rules, laws, mandates to go out into the marketplace. And on top of that, because God is so unique and creative, and He created us very unique and different, there's never going to be another JDew. There's never going to be another Denzel that looks like me, talks like me, acts like me with my characteristics. There's never going to be another me, period. Right? That He gives us individual purpose, right? An individual way for us to express and communicate and serve the whole kingdom as a whole. So what I don't want people to do is hide behind the general purpose that we as humans have all been given. Even if you're in the secular world, right? Non-believer, you'll too hide behind and just say, yeah, be a good human being, right? And just, be a good human being, give to the church, give to some nonprofits and help the world be a better place. Cool. What is your purpose?
Right.
Right. And so I hear, let me see. So Elizabeth says, my purpose is to educate and inspire people to achieve true freedom, empowering them to live stress-free and fulfilling lives, however that looks for them. Awesome. Right? I like that. Purpose is to educate and inspire, right? And I think over time that will get even more detailed, right? It'll get more clear. Again, if this is your first time being asked, I want to give honor.
Response.
Exactly. Yeah. Great response. There's no wrong answer, by the way. Right? Like, that's the cool part here. You can't fail this test. It's not even a test. Right? Had no time. It's a rough draft, LOL. Right? So again, you cannot fail this question. You either are answering it in an inefficient, scared way, or you're answering it efficiently, boldly, and courageously. Right? So Steve says, just so happens I was shot while at work on September 21st, 2012. First bullet through my heart exits my right lung. I died immediately. I returned to to free those I come in contact with, if allowed, but I must financially be free to share some of that. So notice how he gave it in like, oh man, this is so interesting the way people respond. It fires me up because I'm like, it's right there in the middle. He said it right in the middle. He said, I returned to free those I come in contact with. And there's so much more. There's so much in that, right? He gave us context, the story that would hook anybody in.
Right.
Dude, I got shot, I died, and I came back to life. Like, I would tour the world on that talk right there. And then
that's a TED talk right there, Steve. Right? I mean, where can we drop us a link? Drop us a link. Where can I hear the rest of that story?
Right? And then he ended with the defense. He said, but first, I gotta get financially free. I'm like, what? What do you mean? I'm like, it's all right there. So I'm like, no. We do these things where it's like, I got to do this first and do this first. And oh my goodness, let me find this email I got from another buddy of mine, content creator. His name is Travis Peters. Oh, you guys are going to love this. I have to find this email.
Well, hey, now, okay, while you look for it, I'll speak a little bit. Steve,
go ahead.
If you don't have it written down, write it. Oh, you haven't. Come on. But if you had, I'm ready. Where's the link? I'll read it. It's on your Tumblr. It's on your blog. Let's go. I'm ready to read that. I think Denzel's on the roll, though. I won't stop him, but this is good.
Okay. Watch this. All right, I got the email. So this is from my a good friend of mine and content creator. His name is Travis Peters. And the title of the email was Funding Your God Thing. And he talks about, he says, one of the biggest mistakes he's made repeatedly, and many of us do this, is we have an idea. Here's the pattern. God gives you an idea. You in your infinite wisdom, right? You try and go do something with that wisdom of your own, right? And you got the idea from God, and now you're like, okay, that's cool, but it won't pay the bills. I got to get financially free first, right? You got this amazing idea in your brain, but first you're like, that's a cool idea. This, I got to do something to pay the bill. So here's what you do in your infinite wisdom. You think if you're truly ambitious, you think, okay, I'm going to have to go build a business, right? Go sell something, go raise capital to fund the God thing, right? And then what ends up happening is we create this foolish pattern of, let me go do something that actually makes money to fund the God thing, or let's say your purpose, right? You spend 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 years doing that thing. You got sucked up in it. It took forever to make the kind of money you want to make. Now we got some gray hairs. Now the back hurts. Second surgery. This instance, second marriage, who knows, whatever the case may be, third, fourth kid. And now we create excuses as to how come we never got to the God thing? How come we never got to the purpose? Because you spent all your time and dedication toward funding something and saying this is for God, and this is for my kids, and this is for my family. But you end up living this miserable life, unfortunately, or this works, this what is it called? Work-based performance, right? Instead of it being faith-based, it was works, right? Instead of having the faith to then work on the faith, right? So faith without works is dead, and also works without faith also ends up dying. You need both, right? Super important. So I share that because there is so many of us right now that we have it, just like what Steve said and what Elizabeth said. And it's so interesting how we give the context, we say it somewhere in the middle, exactly what our purpose is. It's not quite clear, but we said it. Steve just said it. I'm like 100% convicted on that statement. I mean, how often do we hear, I returned to free those I come in contact with? And then we immediately say, well, if allowed, I must be first financially free to share some of that. Dude, you probably just freed someone in the chat here right now, or in the recording. Someone's gonna be like, I gotta get a hold of this Steve dude. I wanna hear that story. Right? For me, I would hear other people's stories and it would inspire the heck out of me, would light a fire under me to go figure out what my story is. Right?
I agree.
And so with that,
let me jump in. Yeah, let me
Go
jump
ahead.
in with something on that. Ladies and gentlemen, and Steve, we're going to pick on Steve since he was brave enough, right,
Yeah.
to do the right thing and give us this. So there's no shame in that, right? We're not trying to shame. We're trying to empower. We're helping people rediscover their purpose. Sure, we can talk about money and finances, but let's remember Simon Sinek. Let's remember what he said at his TED Talk, because you obviously need one, Steve. What are we waiting for? I'm waiting for it. Record that on your Zoom and send it to us. Even for a little private feedback here, and just so you can give us the story. Simon Sinek talked about starting with why. Starting with why. He's got the book. He talked about Martin Luther King. When we talk about the minority culture, Martin Luther King didn't have everything that he wanted or needed. He was fighting for that dream, but it was a dream, and the dream was worth pursuing, right? He had been called to help other people be free because he was free on the inside. That's what was most important. The March on Washington in 1963, for an entire minority community, people who may have had skin like you or me, people who were behind the eight ball in economic or socioeconomic status, second-class citizens, what they called themselves, 250,000 of them marched upon the Lincoln Memorial's Mall area in Washington, D.C. in August. And he called on them to believe in the dream. They didn't have it, Steve. They were exactly where you are. The question is, are you going to decide that you're going to be hindered by the fact that you don't have money? Simon Sinek said, you know what? When he started talking about what he believed, his money went through the roof. Simon Sinek commands 6 figures an hour to be on stage these days. And he said, I was never like that until I started walking into rooms and telling people what I believed. Not what I knew, not just what I hoped, but I was willing to go for it. I believe this is a future that we can all be a part of. Okay, so let me give you a couple. If you're not seeing them, Denzel, let me also read some comments that we've got from 2 folks on our YouTube channel. Shout out to our folks on the Cash Compound YouTube channel right now. And I'm going to read those for you, and I want you to get back into it because I believe this is so powerful. I'm having an experience right here with what you're saying, Denzel, and some of these comments here. So let's read these 2. Notary says, my purpose is to optimize myself and my community through teaching, business education, and unlocking the genius within my DNA. Love it. Thank you for that comment. Nelson Holland, my purpose is to be the person I was put on this earth to be, in a way that pleases the Most High and serves the people I was put here to serve. Thank you for sharing that. Nelson, welcome back as well. I think I've spoken to Nelson in the past. It's been a little while. So appreciate seeing you back. Very cool. All right, Denzel, back to you as we continue these thoughts.
Again, I'm loving those that are being courageous enough to answer, and I encourage those that didn't answer, either send a private message to Jeremiah in the Zoom or myself. Please put it out there. Get it out of your mind. Write it down, please. Because this is what this all is based on. None of everything else it's not going to work itself out. And here's the truth. A lot of people will perish because of lack of knowledge, right? People just perish, man. I see it happen often. I work with clients that quit. They give up. Yeah. It's sad. It's really sad. And if we could just look at the purpose, that purpose provides the hope and the faith needed to proceed even when there's chaos and crisis and circumstance and situations, right? So
let me talk about real quick. Yeah, I keep interrupting, man. I'm having an experience here, having some belief. But when I was coming up, we had, I think it was a clock in our house. Y'all's grandma still have this clock, some sort of a clock, but there was a picture frame around the clock, and there was a big old thing, wooden, and there was just a clock on the side of it, but it was like a big picture. And it said, in our house, it was in our house for years. It says, faith is not believing that God can. It is knowing that he will. And I was like, that's how you move in life, Steve. That's how you live. That's how you become free. It's not a number. Now, Steve, you may be in a crippling financial situation. Obviously, we don't know that. Me and Denzel are trying to give you hope. But I mean, hey, we all got bills to pay. And that's why we both coach and teach in the financial space, for sure. But you've got to be free on the inside first before you can be free externally. So faith is not believing that God can. Faith is knowing that he will.
Awesome. And we can put that same attitude on our day-to-day, like in our day-to-day, like just knowing that, hey, everything I do, instead of me trying to do in my own works, which hasn't been working, right? Let me yield to a higher authority to help me get through the mundanes, right? The things that causes the pressures around us, right? And that's going to provide that relief. So with that being said, here's what I want to do. I'm going to share you my 4-step. I mean, this is so simple, right? There's no crazy strategy to this, right? But I'm going to share it, and then I'll just share my story in terms of how I rediscovered my purpose, right? And then hopefully we can have some interaction and some Q&A to really dig deep on this, right? We're really hoping for a lot of interaction. I want to see a lot of comments. I want to see a rewriting of your purpose. It's like, you know what, Denzel, the way I first answered it was like, I was trying to apply for a job, you know? It's like a resume. I want to be let me read this one, right? My purpose is to optimize myself. I know this guy, he's gonna crack me up. We've had multiple conversations. I'm like, yeah, there's more. My purpose is to optimize myself and my community through teaching, business education, unlocking the genius within my DNA. You're hired, bro. It's like, okay. But there's something deeper. And it's like behind those words is what he's actually wants to say. And we as men tend to have our walls built up because we're so tough and we know it all. And, it's impossible for the alpha male in 2024 to share some emotion because apparently we're going to lose all our wealth to the women. Oh my goodness. All right. And it's like the weirdest thing that we put around ourselves. It's horrible. I'm telling you, there's something behind that. Okay. I'm gonna take you through my process, how it revealed to me, and we'll dive into it. So taking it to the whiteboard real quick. All right, let me pull this up, and hopefully on YouTube you guys can see it, everything nice and clear. This was a recap, right? We talked about rebuilding reputation in week 1, money mindset, infinite banking concept. Now we're on rediscovering your purpose. There is a formula in the Bible itself that talks about seeking the kingdom first, and all these things will be added on to you. And there's a formula in Genesis 1:26 through 28 that gives you a framework, and there's case studies all throughout the Bible that help you find your purpose, right? Your individual purpose. There's a general purpose that we all should abide by to be great citizens, great U.S. citizens and great kingdom citizens, right? No doubt about that. But there's an individual, something that makes you so unique, so creative to go out into the marketplace. So for me, when I first heard that, seek the kingdom, I was like, okay, like, all right. How? Right? So for me, what ended up really working well was I had to find my who or your who's. So you're either going to find a who or you're going to find some who's. And that could be in the form of a mentor. Now, for me, it needed to be a male role model, a fatherly figure. Why? Because part of my story is the lack of a father in my life. I did not have my biological father, right? He went to prison for over a decade and then was released because he was proven to be innocent. So the system of the United States justice system failed my bloodline, my family, failed in a way that separated a son from his father. Boom. Causes a ripple effect of many negatives to come. Then I'm introduced to my stepfather, who did the best he could with the knowledge he had, but he also came from a dysfunctional family. His father died at a pretty young age and was very abusive to his mom, and all the sons, all the kids were whipped, beaten, abused, not in a disciplinary way. I'm talking whipped, beat, like for doing, I don't know, dropping a napkin on the floor off the dinner table, like just the wildest things. So we're talking abuse, violence, domestic abuse, verbal abuse, right? As a young man, talking about my stepfather, and then him growing up as a young teenager. His mom passes away as well, I think later in life, and now the guy is homeless. Okay, so we're talking about a young man, one with a lot of abuse, ends up becoming homeless, then going to jail at such a young age, getting caught up in crime and doing bad things because he's hanging around with the wrong crowd. I mean, I probably would hang out with the wrong crowd too if I was homeless. I'm going to do anything I can to probably survive and get a meal on my table. Let's just be real. It's what happens. This is life. Life is hard. Okay? So that occurs, and then so many years would go by of going in and out of jail, spending time in prison. You know, jail and prison, two different things. Okay? A lot of people think jail and prison is like the same. No, no, no. It's a whole nother ball game when you go to prison. Whole nother ball game. And I know that secondhand, not firsthand. Never been to jail, never been to prison, right? But knowing it from the fathers that I was given, my biological father, my stepfather, and then him growing up in my life, again, doing the best he could, and then 20 years plus would go by, spending a majority of my life being raised by this stepfather, all for it to end as a 26-year-old at the time, 25, 26-year-old, to end in such a horrible way where I ended up being the enemy to my stepfather, and there was a crack in the bloodline. Again, another crack, another traumatic event, where now I find myself having to move out along with my mom to put us in a safer environment, out of verbal abuse and somewhat physical, right? To now be led into this environment, right, of what am I going to do now? How do I become the man, the father, the husband that my Father in heaven, my Creator, wants me to be? So my story and purpose, the things that happen to us, these circumstances, these terrible things, only God knows how to take that horrible, traumatic event in your life and make something beautiful out of it. It's incredible. So when we can get past all the pretending and just get to the heart of it, here's my darn story, here's what happened, right? And now that I know what happened to me, I get out of being a victim. I'm now going to hold myself accountable. And then I rediscover my purpose in all of that, right? In all those circumstances, all those tragedies, I then received the message needed to achieve my purpose in life. So my purpose in life was revealed to me shortly after high school, right? And it was released in fragments, okay? It's not gonna happen. I don't know if there's gonna be a billboard and it's gonna give you the exact date and time and numbers and sentence and the perfect words. I don't think it's gonna happen. This is gonna be a life progression. But the fact that you're taking the time now to at least look at it, look at yourself in the mirror, right? And discover this. For me, it was this process right here, finding a mentor. So I talk about the type of mentor that you need by sharing a little bit of my story and who I needed. So the type of mentors I've been seeking since 18 years old, all the way even till now, being 28 years old, is finding fatherly figures, men that, are married, have children, are devoted to their wives, devoted to their church and faith, have a thriving and successful business that scales, has these things in place that I can just simply observe, right? Okay, that's cool. Oh, I like the way he communicates with his wife in this situation. Oh yeah, we're across the dinner table. I can, spend time, maybe interact with some of the kids and see how they look up to their how they look up to their dad. Oh man, that's interesting. Oh man, I really like the way he talks. He's so confident in everything he says. Very, very interesting. So for you, being able to literally narrate your story, what's happened to you in your life, right? Let's narrate that. And then we find a mentor that can help us heal in all that pain that we went through. All right, so that's for me. Find your who, or it might be a couple of who's. For me, it's been a couple of who's. The last decade, from 18 to 28, it's been multiple who's. The first guy, the first fatherly figure that had a major impact in my life at 18 going on 19 years old is a guy named Jeffrey Gamboa. Never forget his name, right? Because what a cool name, Jeffrey Gamboa. I've always had good interactions with fatherly male figures that have good, strong names attached to them, and there's some meaning there. There's always something interesting. So this Jeffrey Gamboa guy, confident as can be, a short king like me, 5'8", right? I represent most of the short kings out there in the world. And so this level of confidence, right? I was able to witness a man that was so confident in his own skin, in the way he looked. He was a minority and he talked a certain way, but the way he would shake people's hands, the way he would communicate over the phone, the way he would sell, the way he would receive referrals, the way he motivated his team, the way others spoke about him when he wasn't in the room was incredible. I'm like, wow, this is a really cool reputation to have and credibility. I want that. So after Jeffrey Gamboa came so many others along the way. But this is part of my strategy here. So finding the mentor, finding your who's, and now talking about it. This is what we're doing here. You're talking to yourself right now about your purpose and your story. It's happening in your mind all the time, and you're recognizing it or you're suppressing it, putting it away, locking it up with 20,000 keys and throwing away the keys, right? You're throwing away the keys to unlocking the kingdom and also your kingdom here on earth that you can operate. So by simply talking about it, at some point in my content creation journey, I was just like, forget about it. I'm gonna start talking about my problems on YouTube. It is what it is, right? I have a desire to educate, inspire, and teach, and maybe even one day get into politics with my fiance, future wife, right? So I'm like, you know what? There's going to be some things that if I decide to go the political route and get into politics in my later age, people know how to do research. Things are going to come up. Things that I've said, things that I've done, things that I've been accused of, whatever the case may be, it'll surface. So let me be the one that tells it now. Let me set the story straight. Let me set the narrative according to what happened from my eyes, my point of view, my perspective, right? This way, I'm not blindsided, because let me tell you, it's scary when I see grown men get blindsided by something they did in the past that they did not deal with, This could be a very influential type of a person, or an everyday man, everyday career worker, clients even. They get blindsided with something and they get destroyed, right? Because again, in some way, shape, or form, that trauma, that traumatic experience, that story you had, oh my goodness, is it going to show up in a way you never expected? And I've experienced this quite a few times already, being a homeowner now, living on my own, paying bills. Oh my goodness, I could tell you some cool stories, but I won't go into all that right now. But again, in order for me to seek the kingdom, to rediscover my purpose, I had to find a mentor. Find your who or find your who's. Talk about it to the mentor. Just put it out there. Hey man, I'm trying to discover my purpose. Right, Steve? Hey, Elizabeth, right? Hey, like, I just need to talk to someone. I just want to air it out, right? And honestly, the best people I have been able to open up with are not traditionally close friends, family. It's typically a stranger, a professional stranger, typically. That could be a therapist, that could be a business coach, that could be a financial advisor, that could be a guru. That's just what's worked for me. And then when I'm able to craft the things I want to say a little bit better, I'm now able to go to, say, my mom or a close friend, family member, and to maybe open up a little bit and see if they're willing to even receive what I'm saying. Because oftentimes when you come from a very fragmented, broken bloodline of pain and grief and financial stress and all this stuff, each and every one of them have something they're dealing with in their point of view in the story, in their tragic moments. So they have no space to receive what I'm trying to communicate. But when you go to a professional, they have the capacity to listen. And that's all we really just need at the end of the day, is someone to listen, right? And to be able to pull out exactly what you just said. Hey, I'm only repeating what you just said. And I say, there's something there, Steve. There's something there in the middle of that sentence. Not at the end, not at the beginning, but in the middle, right there. My goodness. Something there. And so as you're talking about it, then you engage with people who also know their purpose. This is beautiful. Oh man, to get around, again, using me, getting around a fatherly figure, a man's man, that knows their purpose, that walks it, talks it, breathes it, eats it. They're obsessed with it. There is an energy that comes off of that type of a man to inspire a young man like myself to also have this confidence the way I'm speaking to you right now. It didn't happen overnight. Trust me, I was a pretty shy guy. Even though I'm Puerto Rican and Colombian, love to dance and love to get at, once the music starts playing, I open up. But for every other situation, man, am I a little cricket, a little silent, just not opening up. Those days are done. Those days are done. Over because of these 4 little steps right here. Seek the kingdom. The way I do that, find a mentor, find your who or who's, talk about it to them. And here's what's going to happen. Those who's are going to invite you to circles you don't even belong in. It's crazy. Because of that word vouch that we talked about in week 1. When you get, in my case, right, you'll put your who in this as you're talking, but in my case, when I get a man's man, a fatherly figure vouch for me in another room, it's incredible what happens afterwards. Because then I get around others, right, that are also very familiar with their purpose, or at least multiple levels ahead of me. And now I got a council. I got a board that's talking to Denzel about his purpose and how he's going to maximize and impact nations. My goodness, does that just feel amazing? Let me tell you, it's incredible, this stuff that occurs here. So when you do that, that last part, when you engage with people who know their purpose, that's what this starts to open up. And if you would have the patience, the time, and the focus, zero in on that, I'm telling you, things like ROI and policy loan interest rates and cash value performance and death benefit and which mutual company should I go with, and how long have they been in business, and da 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 da. Man, all this stuff goes out the door, right? For me personally. Now, before it wasn't the case. Trust me, I'm a logical guy. I need to know the numbers. I need to know the numbers, right? But I'm telling you, like, when you have this backing you up as your foundation, it's as if those facts and details, you seem to just comprehend it that much faster. See, when you're trying to comprehend the logical without the spiritual, without the emotions, your own self, your own emotions cloud the facts that Jeremiah and myself are trying to give to you. So therefore, it's so difficult, because now you got to go listen to Jeremiah, Denzel, Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk. You got to go listen to Nelson Nash himself. Then you go to Garrett Gunderson. Then you go here. Then you go there. Then you go here. Now you got 20 gurus telling you to basically do the same thing. They just said it 20 different ways, and it just left you in a cloud of confusion. Because again, your own emotions are messing you up. Your own heart can mess you up bad, right? And when we don't allow the body to heal from within, and we deal with this, only then can we start to fully comprehend these strategies that will solve our problems. Financially speaking, legacy, estate planning speaking, being able to pass on wealth, all that good stuff. So having the time, the patience, and the focus, those three things, write that down. Type that in the comments. Time, patience, focus. If you would just give some time. Hey, can you give 1% of your time to this? And then gradually work your way up to 10%. And there's a threshold in marketing. They usually say that once a business, I forgot what it is. I don't know if it's 10%. There's a threshold that occurs that once you have a certain percentage of the marketplace, that you start to experience exponential growth. So from 0 to 10% is like linear, let's say, in your growth. But once you get past 10%, I would say, I think that's where I'm trying to pull from. And even if it's incorrect, it still sounds good. So once you get to 10% and up, there's this exponential growth, this multiplication that occurs. And then you become obsessed with figuring out your purpose and practicing and getting engaged and building up your experience, your skills, gifts, and talents around the thing that you're supposed to be doing. And then you just get fired up. Right? Put in the comments, have you been fired up in this conversation so far? Have I lit some kind of a fire going? And you're like, oh man, there's something there. There's something there. Let me know in the comments if that's you. They're like, the fire has started, right? Or the fire is brewing, right?
I'm going to jump back in for a few minutes here and give preparation. This week had the most flexibility. We knew what we were going to be getting into week one. We knew how we were going to go technical in week two. Denzel's got some real good stuff. I've got a few things. I've read one book on jurisdiction. So let's talk about that influence that minority cultures and faith cultures have had on finances over the course of the last millennia, our lifetimes for sure, and how different of these sects have kind of shown up in our world. But this conversation had the least amount of detail connected to our outline and our lead up. And I've enjoyed it probably more than me talking the whole time last week. I really have. So, and I appreciate
Sorry for going off script.
Several of you. Yeah. But that's something that we need sometimes about this minority mindset, because it's easy to kind of bait folks into talking about a subculture in terms of color, in terms of ethnic background, but it really is a mindset, isn't it? Have you guys experienced that? It's a mindset. And if your mindset that's why we relate to people who think like us. If everybody in your circle is a swimmer, then you guys are getting pumped right now about the Olympics. Everybody's a swimmer, and it doesn't matter if you're black, white, or red all over. Everybody's a swimmer, so they think about the water. They think about training. They think about eating. They think about watching the Olympics together, whatever, right? When back in the day, American Idol was the biggest show in the country for about 5 years. And if you had your person you were cheering for, political season, if you have your person you're cheering for and your people think like that, then it's a culture of the mindset. And if you can align with the people who think like you both like the Lakers, you both like the Yankees, then it just aligns better. And what we're talking about is that mindset. We're trying to free you from the bondage that money and thinking the wrong things in your mindset have brought you to. And deeper than just the outside 21st century culture, it might be in your mind and your heart. And that's what Denzel's so good at picking apart. And I love that. Being a man who was a Sunday school boy myself, but not normally focusing on that in our lives, our collaborative experiences, and our educational training, I really enjoyed these conversations. We only have a few minutes left. So if you do have things you want to jump in and say, ladies and gentlemen, please do. I'm going to turn things back over here to Denzel shortly to close things out. But let me remind you what we're doing here each and every week. Thursdays in July, 3:30 Eastern, same bat time and channel. We'll be back on the Cash Compound YouTube channel right here. And we're on our Zoom. If you pre-register by going to our website, thecashcompound.com, you can pre-register and get into the chat and the conversation there. Plus, we've got all of the ability to get on our calendars to get this overall mindset coaching, get a partner, get a mentor, just like he described to you. That's what Denzel is born to do. That's part of his mission. That's how his mission is able to reach the world. As you can see, he's a missional man from the inside, but on the outside, he's going to help you with some money. Okay, so let's get into that conversation. He's going to help you with that. And that's what you can do by getting on his calendar. On our scheduler, we're going to have a conversation that we call a cash consultation with a coach. What we do around here is we coach people specifically into how to store and stash their cash in the place that's most Del and I both utilize YouTube channels with evergreen content on there that you can jump into all the time. He's having great stuff that he's posting day to day and week to week on his channel. And I, right now, am wondering, as I turn things back over to him, Denzel, where the crap do we find that personal TED Talk story about Dad 1 and Dad 2, criminal justice system, the failures, the mentorship? Where is that, my boy? Because I'm ready for that right now.
Oh man, so this is crazy, because as much as I've been, in this one session telling y'all to tell your story, in a way a little bit hypocritical, because I've never really told the full story. Like, that was the main focus. Although on my YouTube channel there is a playlist called Rediscovering the Kingdom Template. I believe that's what I titled it. Let me just confirm for y'all. But you will find my story being said in different ways. You'll kind of get the fragments of the story, and I'm typically giving the punchlines.
I don't want
right?
the punchline or the fragments anymore.
Right.
That was powerful. So we told it to Steve. Steve and I are having a little offline conversation.
Yeah, now I gotta do it on me.
Something. Yes,
So,
100%. That's what the people are here for. So remind
absolutely.
everybody, as Denzel's looking for that playlist that we've got in the chat, saveandsystem.com, saveandsystem.com /CCC. No more beating around the bush. We're going to see this on stage one day for you just to tell this story.
Correct. So I put it in the YouTube chat. I didn't put it in the Zoom. I'll see if I can throw it in there as well. But on the YouTube chat, I put the playlist called Rediscovering Your Kingdom Template. And in there, I do really break down multiple areas of my story and how that led me to discovering my purpose and why I do what I do. The way I'll close out here, which is really interesting about discovering your purpose and the path that I've been on, is you don't arrive at your purpose, right? So I don't want you to think of it as some goal that you have to hit and then now you have it, then you're done. It's a constant, it's a lifestyle of being obsessed with living out your purpose day by day, right? And there's different stages that you can really build an entire kingdom, an entire business around that center purpose. It's like a CEO that casts, or founder that casts out the vision. That's the purpose of the company. But there's so many departments that helps in serving it overall. So where I'm going with this is you've got general purpose that we all have, right? And I'll write some of this down. There's the general purpose, humankind, mankind, God's desire, God's kingdom for his people. We've got individual purpose, right? And then there are what I call protocols and procedures. In terms of, like, just think of departments. These circles are different departments in your life that you do. So for example, for me, I'll wrap things up. I'll say, okay, moms, I have a desire. Part of my purpose is serving moms across the United States to help them rediscover their kingdom authority, to help them master their personal finances and achieve financial freedom and security for their children. Boom. That's a purpose that I've been called to do, and it is part of my story, but it's still not the full story. Now, for me personally, you have your own personal purpose as well. Like, there's an individual purpose that serves others, right? Individual purpose that serves others. And then you have, like, your own personal purpose. This is personal, right? This purpose, literally in the most selfish way, serves you. You need to be served, my guy, right? You need to be served, brother, sister. You have to. In order to serve others, you got to make sure your cup is full, or at least has half the water in there. I mean, how are you gonna pour from an empty cup? It's impossible, right? They don't get nothing. So for me, personal purpose is father, husband, right? I want to be the best father I can possibly be in my bloodline, the best husband I can possibly be in my bloodline. This is a personal journey. A big majority of my revenue, the businesses, the focus, the books I learn, the people I hang out with, right, is in the deep purpose, right? The purpose behind the purpose that you said, that you guys typed in the comments. It's the purpose behind the purpose behind the purpose. For me, it's becoming the best father within the Rodriguez bloodline the world's ever seen. The best husband that the world's ever seen of a Rodriguez, right? Like, that name, Denzel Napoleon Rodriguez, like, making that name so reputable, so credible, with so much authority and confidence that my children and my children's children will know the capacity that their father, their grandfather had to be the best father, the best husband that there ever was in that bloodline. And it just sets a whole new standard. I'm literally rewriting my DNA. I'm rewriting code. I'm passing on what Garrett Gunderson showed me or explained in his talk recently at a mastermind. He called it epigenetic wealth, right? It's this ability to transfer wealth in your DNA, like literally genes. Imagine me, right, taking the time to restore this body, to heal it, give it the proper nutrients, the proper exercise, the proper spiritual needs that this body needs, spirit, body, mind, right? All of it, to then literally rewrite the DNA that gets passed on. So any contaminants, any toxic genes that were passed on that cause pain and destruction and stress and all these different things doesn't occur in my heirs. Is that possible? I believe it is. I believe it is possible to rewrite DNA, right? And pass on genetic wealth, not just financial wealth, not just a bank account with a couple of zeros and a couple of commas in it and some real estate portfolios in a business, but that spiritual wealth, that genetic wealth, that's going to help them proceed in life and just operate at the max potential. Is that possible? I think it is. I think it is possible to rewrite the reputation of Rodriguez's out there, right? I think it is. And so for me, those we've got these segmented purposes that happen. You're going to have your general purpose. You're going to have your individual purpose, which is really what provides you the capital, the joy in the process of this whole journey that we're on together that serves others. And then below that, you're going to have a personal purpose that's like, this is for me. Like, this is how I show up when I'm serving others. And then this is how I show up in a room serving the general purpose of the human population, mankind, God's kingdom, God's rule, right? So it's like that three-layered effect there has been my way of illustrating that visual to you. That's just made me so obsessed over the years and wanting to share it. And I'm going to do a better job at telling my story and just telling my story. I often tell my story, and I give a little bit of fragments and I, go right into the details. So this was a way for me to step out of my comfort zone, totally being full transparent with you. Like, part of this journey working with Jeremiah was for me to open up about my story, because it's totally different from every other content creator out there that talks about the infinite banking concept, right? We don't hear about those stories. We just hear about mutual companies, 100+ years old, guarantees, policy flexibility and ROI, internal rate of return, and banking is a process and all this stuff. And I get it. That stuff's cool. But what's going to set the two of us apart is us being able to tell our stories and giving our clients permission to tell theirs in the process of putting their privatized banks in place. This is going to be awesome. So I will close there. Thank you very much, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here with us this week. Week 3 of our July series, Cash Cultures Collide. Love that you loved it. Thank you, Steve, for that great inspiration that got Denzel walking and talking down the path. He's teaching and preaching, but now he's walking and talking it himself. So I look forward to I'm going to put together a TEDx right here in my town and have both of you come and speak at it. How about that? So I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, you can find us on our YouTube channel for recordings, The Cash Compound, in the live bucket, that playlist. You'll see these recordings. And also, you can go back last week and see a more full picture of the save and spend system where we talk about infinite banking. Get on our calendars, please. Go ahead and do that. And just start the conversation with us. It's a no obligation consult to get started in a chat with us. Just get on the calendars. That's the way we work these days in the world we live in, right? The information age. Get in the conversation first to see if it's a good fit. Okay, we got to bust out, ladies and gentlemen. One more week. We'll see you next week for Cash Cultures Collide as we close out July, talking about the minority money mindset and walking and talking through how you can be a part of the solution in your own life. Come to your own rescue. Peace out, everybody.